Hi, this is Steve with Palladino Power Project, bringing you a video where I just want to provide some tips on getting a race day estimate for temperature and humidity um, for planning purposes. Um, Typically, we'll use the pre-race CP test, environmental conditions, and convert them to race day conditions to see if there's any significant plus or minus effect on sustainable power. Well, um, I like to start looking at the race day, and 10 days because it's a 10-day forecast within that 10-day period, and actually closer, as you know, with forecasts, 5 days ahead, 6 days ahead, then you can start your planning, I think. Um, I'm doing some planning lately for the 2024 Seoul Marathon. I go to the website, and the race start time is at 8 a.m. Of course, they'll go off in waves and so forth. Um, but nevertheless, you're going to have racers racing, depending on their time, between 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. or even up to 12 noon for a 4-hour marathoner. So um, you want to look at that window. So what I use is I use Weather Underground. So I type in in Google. I type in Weather Underground forecast for Seoul, South Korea, and it will land me on this image and with the forecast, and I'll click on Sunday. Now, I'll make note up here in the settings. You can select Fahrenheit or Celsius. I am using Celsius here. So I click on Sunday, that on that icon there in that 10-day forecast. I click on Sunday, and then I scroll down and it gives me hour by hour forecast. So you'll see here at start time, it's going to be 7 degrees with 68% humidity. But I like, and this is part of the tip, I like to look at what the conditions are going to be later on, particularly because there's typically a warming effect. I want to see what the conditions are later on and plan around those rather than the early start time. So let's look at this. So we're about 11 degrees at noontime, about 7 degrees forecast for start time, and from 68% down to 52% or 55%. So right in this period here, whether an hour before noontime for a 4-hour marathoner, or an hour before 11 a.m. for a 3-hour marathoner, we're looking at roughly 9 to 10 degrees for temperature and roughly about 60% humidity, 60 to 60, 58 to 63%. So that's the best way to do it. Rather than looking at the forecasts, a 10-day forecast, and it has highs and lows and so forth for Sunday, come to Weather Underground, click on the date that you're looking at the forecast for, and then look at the hours in which you'll be running. Select a time period towards the end of the running. So in this case, closer to 10, 11 o'clock for a 3-hour marathoner, closer to 11 to 12 o'clock for 4-hour marathoner, etc. And then look across, and then you're going to get a little bit more precision in that forecast. So there you have it. That's the way that I do it in terms of looking at the forecast down to the hourly forecast, and again use the time that's towards the end of the race and not at the very beginning of the race. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.